finished. The original guitarist was gone, the magic had evaporated, and the music industry had already written the obituary. Then a new guitarist walked in and changed everything. Here are 12 backup guitarists who saved dying bands. Number 12. Bob Welch. Peter Green quit after an LSD-induced breakdown. Jeremy Spencer vanished mid-tour and joined the Children of God cult. Danny Kirwan was fired in August 1972. Fleetwood Mac had lost 3 guitarists in rapid succession, and the band was on life support. Bob Welch stepped in and anchored the group through 5 albums: Future Games, Bare Trees, Penguin, Mystery to Me, and Heroes Are Hard to Find. None of them matched Green's era commercially, but Welch kept the band alive and functioning long enough for Mick Fleetwood to discover 2 unknown musicians who would change everything. Number 11. Lindsey Buckingham. Late December 1974. Mick Fleetwood was at Sound City Studios in Van Nuys when producer Keith Olsen played him the Buckingham Nicks album. Fleetwood wanted Bob Welch's replacement and found 2 for the price of 1. Buckingham and Stevie Nicks joined, and the self-titled Fleetwood Mac hit number 1 in 1976, selling over 7 million copies in the US alone. Then came Rumors in 1977. Over 40 million copies worldwide. Grammy Award for Album of the Year. 1 studio audition saved Fleetwood Mac and created one of the best-selling bands of all time. Number 10. Mick Taylor. The Rolling Stones fired Brian Jones on June 8, 1969. 3 weeks later, Jones was found dead in his swimming pool. The band played a memorial concert in Hyde Park on July 5th and introduced their new guitarist, 20-year-old Mick Taylor, poached directly from John Mayall's Blues Breakers. Taylor's fluid, melodic style elevated the Stones through what many consider their greatest creative period. Sticky Fingers, Exile on Main Street, Goat's Head Soup, Let It Bleed. Taylor left in December 1974, but the music he made with the Stones remains their artistic peak. Number 9. Ronnie Wood. The Small Faces lost Steve Marriott in 1969 when he left to form Humble Pie. Ronnie Wood, who had come through the Jeff Beck group alongside Rod Stewart, helped transform what remained into the Faces, dropping Small from the name. Stay With Me and Ooh Ha La La became their calling cards, and their rowdy pub rock energy influenced the punk movement that followed. When Mick Taylor quit the Stones in December 1974, Wood was the natural choice. He joined in 1975, and Some Girls in 1978 became one of the Stones' best-selling albums of the decade, proving Wood was far more than a replacement. Number 8. Joe Walsh. Bernie Leadon was frustrated with the Eagles' increasingly harder direction. Legend has it, he poured a beer over Glenn Frey's head before walking out. His replacement was Joe Walsh, already a solo star thanks to Rocky Mountain Way, who brought a raw, aggressive edge the band desperately needed. Walsh co-wrote Life, In the Fast Lane, and helped drive Hotel California to over 26 million copies sold, earning a Grammy for Record of the Year at the 20th Grammy Awards in 1978. He didn't just save the Eagles, he made them dangerous. Before we continue, which guitarist on this list do you think had the biggest impact on their new band? Was there a guitarist swap you think actually made the band worse? Drop a comment and let us know where you're watching from. Number 7. Jimmy Page. The Yardbirds were struggling by 1966. Their earlier hits, like For Your Lovin' Heart Full of Soul, belonged to the Clapton and Beck eras. Page initially joined as bassist in June 1966, then moved to co-lead guitarist alongside Jeff Beck. When Beck left in November 1966, Page became sole lead guitarist and kept the Yardbirds alive through 1968. When the band finally collapsed, Page retained the rights to the name, formed the new Yardbirds with John Paul Jones, John Bonham, and Robert Plant, and transformed them into Led Zeppelin. He didn't just save a dying band, he built an empire from its ashes. Number 6. Clarence White. The Byrds had scored at least 7 top 40 hits and 3 gold albums, but by 1968, the classic lineup had disintegrated. Roger McGuinn was essentially the last man standing after David Crosby was fired in 1967, and both Chris Hillman and Graham Parsons departed.
Now you get a line, I'll get a pole, honey.
Clarence White, a virtuoso flat picker from the Kentucky Colonels, joined and helped steer the band through their country rock era, including the groundbreaking Sweetheart of the Rodeo. White was killed by a drunk driver in 1973 at just 29 years old, cutting short one of the most gifted guitar careers of the era. Number 5. Steve Howe. Yes had released 2 albums with guitarist Peter Banks when they fired him in early 1970. His replacement was Steve Howe, formerly of the band Tomorrow, who brought a hollow-body Gibson and a virtuosity that transformed the group entirely. The Yes album peaked at number 4 in the UK in 1971. Fragile hit number 4 in the US. Close to the Edge cracked the top 3 on both sides of the Atlantic. Howe won Best Guitarist in the Melody Maker poll for 5 consecutive years. He didn't just save Yes, he turned them into the definitive progressive rock band and influenced everyone from Rush to Dream Theater. Number 4. Jeff "Skunk" Baxter. The Doobie Brothers were evolving when Baxter arrived from Steely Dan in 1974. He initially contributed as a session player on what were once Vices Are Now Habits, before becoming a full member for Stampede in 1975. His pedal steel playing added a new dimension to the band's sound. But his most consequential move wasn't musical. Baxter recommended vocalist Michael McDonald, whom he knew from Steely Dan sessions. McDonald joined, and What a Fool Believes became one of the biggest hits of the late 1970s. Baxter's guitar changed the Doobies' sound, but his phone call changed their destiny. Number 3. Don Felder. Hi. 26-year-old session guitarist from Florida bar bands, recruited by the Eagles in 1974 for On the Border. Felder wrote the guitar riff for Hotel California on a Teak 4-track at a rented house in Malibu. That riff became arguably the most famous guitar intro in rock history. Hotel California hit number 1 in 1977 and has sold over 26 million copies.
She got the Mercedes-Benz. She got a lot of pretty boys.
Felder remained with the band until 2001, when he was fired, leading to years of lawsuits. The legal battles were ugly, but the music he left behind was immortal. Number 2. Gary Moore. Phil Lynnett's Thin Lizzy called on Gary Moore 3 separate times, in 1974, 1977, and again from 1978 to 1979. Each time, Moore's blistering playing elevated the band to new heights. Black Rose hit number 2 in the UK in 1979. Waiting for an Alibi and Do Anything You Want To became signature tracks. Moore's stints were never permanent, but his impact was undeniable. He was the guitarist Thin Lizzy kept coming back to because nobody else could fill the space. Number 1. Viviane Campbell. Steve Clark died on January 8, 1991, from an accidental overdose of alcohol and prescription drugs. He was 30 years old. Def Leppard had sold tens of millions of albums on the back of Pyromania and Hysteria, but Clark's death left a void that seemed impossible to fill. Viviane Campbell, who had played with Dio and Whitesnake, joined in 1992. Adrenalize hit number 1 on the Billboard 200. Phil Collen, who had joined in 1982 replacing Pete Willis, remained the band's longest-serving non-founding member, but Campbell proved himself indispensable. He has now been with Def Leppard for over 30 years, the most recent long-term addition to a band that refused to die.